Good afternoon, everyone. We're going to continue working on our Victorian sewing boxes. So, we've done all our cutting out and we need to start doing some gluing. So the most complicated part of the box is the lid, as far as the gluing goes. So our lid needs to be folded and glued in a very special way. So what we're going to do is start with the lid first, and then I'm going to talk about how to glue all the rest of the pieces, because all the rest of them are fairly similar. And if we know how to do the lid, then at least the rest of it will look easy. So our lid piece folds up like this, but what you have is our number 7 piece. Now, it's got scores on one side. You need to make very, very sure that you've got the scores on the right side when you glue it. So obviously, it only folds up one way. So just gently bend, holding it in the middle and then on one of the leaves, gently bend each of the bits so that you can see which way it's going to fold. So our box lid folds like this, which means we need to have the scored portions down when we glue our fabric. So make sure when we're gluing that we've got the scored part of our cardboard down. Very, very important. Most other things, it doesn't matter, but we do need to make sure that this is down. All right. So I've slightly pre-prepared mine. The first thing we need to do is make sure we get our bit of cardboard in the very center of our fabric. And then we're going to cut in to these corners in here. So as you can see, I've already cut in here. And in here, I might spin this around actually. Might be a little bit easier to see. So I've cut into the very corners in here. So you can see in there and in there, I've cut just diagonally in. So I'm going to line up those cuts that I've already made. I'm going to cut diagonally from the corners of my fabric into the corners of my box. Now, if anything at this stage, if you don't go quite far enough, that's okay. You can make this a little bit deeper when you have a look at the folds. Now, just to make your life a little bit easier, I've also cut out a little bit of extra fabric on the corners here. This isn't essential. You don't have to do this, but it does tend to help. It just means there's a little bit less fabric in the way when you come to folding everything in. So what we do is just line up your scissors with that edge, and we'll just cut these triangles off here as well. So we don't have to deal with quite all this extra fabric. This isn't exact. We just cut those extra bits off like so. So now we've kind of got this shape that's a little bit like what we already have with our box. So now what we need to do is fold in our fabric and glue it like so. Fold in our fabric and glue it like so. So that all of these are tightly, and I do mean very tightly glued on these edges. We want to do these edges first, so they're nice and tight. I'm going to bend these back slightly. Okay, so we'll pop that one back in there. So like I say, if you do need to make your cuts a little bit deeper at any point, that's fine, because we need to make sure that the fabric can bend as much as it needs to at this point. So what I'm using is fabric glue to glue the fabric to the cardboard, and this stuff sticks really well, but even though it says dries clear, you will see it if you put it on any part of the box that you can see. So do try and make sure that you're not making this obvious on anything that you can see. So which bits of the box are you going to see? This is a very important question. So as you can see on my original box, this has been a long time ago since I made this box, we're actually going to put a padded portion on top of the box. So if we look over here, this bit of fabric in the center, we're actually not going to see this, but what we are going to see is this bit here and the inside here. So it's actually these lid edges that are very important here. So that's what we're trying not to get glue on these bits. So if we turn this one back over, we want to make very sure that that's what we're not getting glue on. But we've got a couple of layers of fabric that we're going to be putting on this particular round. So we can see the glue is going to show through for this bit, but we're going to be putting a double layer on. So once we fold that down, we won't see the glue underneath. So we need to be very careful. We can put glue on here and we can put a little bit of glue on here, but we want to make sure we don't get any glue on there because that'll come through the fabric. Okay? So hopefully my glue is going to be runny enough. We will find out. Oh, look at that. Gotta love that smell. Also helps to have a little bit of excess fabric around to just get rid of glue that you don't want. Also a wet cloth, clean it off your fingers. Don't know how runny this glue is going to be. This glue is a little old. Right, let's try this again. Out you come. Here we go. So applying glue to the fabric, because in this case we're not going to have it over the whole bit of cardboard. And remember, tension's very important on this. You want to get the tension quite tight. And you are going to get glue on your fingers. Get used to it. All right. The good thing about fabric glue is it does set quite quickly. So if we don't pull on that too badly, it's not going to go too badly at all. So do remember, this is the most difficult part of your box. I'm showing you this because it's the hardest part first. You don't have to start here. I'm going to go and look at some of the other bits in a little moment. table stuff fabric glue. So pulling that other side up. Now, with a little bit of luck, now these ones are particularly tricky. On most ones, we would be able to fold the fabric inwards, like so. But on these, we particularly need this surface to look good because this is going to be the inside of our box lid. And that's why we wanted to get that tension as good as we can. So, what does this one look like? That's not too bad. Gets all the way down to there. Try and line it up so we're not seeing any cardboard, we're not seeing any glue. If you need to pull it out or tuck it in, try and make sure you do that at this stage. Then remember we can glue on this face. And I should remember I've got a glass here to keep my glue bottle the right way up. And I can glue on this face here because this bit of cardboard is not going to see the light of day. Goodness me. You do want to put a reasonable amount of glue on each of these, especially up here, because this has to sit in nice and tight. In fact, the glue rule goes for most parts. Don't underdo the glue, but don't have it oozing out. And remember to keep your tension up. Tension is very important on the box lid. As tight as you possibly can, because we're going to have this one sitting up vertically like this at the end of the day. You also see that I've got my fabric on the right way round because my box bends the right way. So if you need to, feel free to stick extra glue in there. Because like I say, we don't want this one coming undone. And then we repeat on the other sides. So have a look at it first, see if we get a nice fold. Yep, this one looks pretty good too. And always apply the tension. We'll stand it up again. So we do end up with a little bit of extra fabric in here than we'd like. So sometimes it can be handy, which kind of sticks up. Sometimes it can be handy to chop that a little bit extra off or fold it down on the inside. And watch your fingers with the glue, that we don't get any glue we don't want stuck on the inside of these. And there we go. That's basically how we glue our lids. Like I say, they're the most complicated part of the box, unfortunately, but they make the rest of it look easy. So we might set that aside for now, and we'll have a look at one of the other pieces. So this is one of your number 3s, and you don't really have to worry too much about these ones. They're pretty straightforward. So a number 3 is this piece of your box. So it's what we connect the outside flaps to. All we have to do with these ones is just tuck the edges in and glue them. Much more straightforward than the lid. Apply the glue to the cardboard in this case, because we know where it's going. Look at that, terribly messy of me. And nice and tight. You'll find you'll need a little bit of give in it, but there will be plenty of give when you need it for sewing. So the good thing about this is it dries so quickly. Then we fold in our edges. So just make a diagonal. There and there. Like so. And then apply the glue a little bit further away from the edge. fold up. Very, very simple. Then we repeat the same process on the other side. I've left myself a little bit less space on this side, which is wonderful, as always. Uh-oh, forgotten to stand my glue bottle the right way around. I'm running out of glue. Haven't learned my lesson. Always leave your glue bottle upside down, and then the glue will come out. Or start with a fresh bottle of glue. Take your pick. All right, put it in the last. So fold up the last bit. And voila. So try to make sure that these bits are as flat as possible. If you need to, extra dab of glue underneath. These sides don't need to be particularly neat. Nobody is going to see them. They get glued to something else. So this bit will get glued to the base. All of the edges get a pin cushion, if you like, glued to it. And the top of the box gets an inside and an outside glued to it. So as long as this bit looks good, the rest of it, the back end, if you like, doesn't have to. It's all about what's going to be seen. So that's how you do all the rest of the numbers 1 through 6. They all look just like that. Nothing else to it. It's only number 7 that's complicated. Then we have to deal with numbers 8, 9, and 10. So remember I said that number 9 was a little bit different. So number 8 on my existing box, these are the number 8s, these are the number 10s. Very straightforward. The number 9s are one on the inside, one on the outside. So remember, we need one of the outside colour with wadding and one of the inside colour with wadding. Just don't forget to do one of each. So when we do our wadding, it's best to cut it just that little bit smaller than the size of the cardboard. We found that you can glue it down, it gets a bit messy, but 2 bits of double-sided tape actually keeps it in place really well. It's very nice. So we just go pop with the double-sided tape. And then at some point, several millennia later, you can pull off the double-sided tape. There we go. Fix your wadding. That sits. And then pop your fabric on. So these ones aren't any different to the 1s through 6. We just have to put the wadding on first. So if you find it still popping out the edges, it might be handy to give it a trim. So just run your scissors along the edge on a bit of an angle. and trim the wadding up, and you'll find that it won't pop out. Like so. Oh, still got a little bit stuck to it. There we go. There we go. Now it's not popping out any of the edges anymore. So now we repeat the process. So apply the glue to the cardboard. So this cardboard that we're using for the 8, 9s and 10s is thinner than the stuff we used for the outside of the box. That's because it needs to conform to what you've already done, and it's a lot easier to do that with a thinner cardboard. You'll also find that this is easier to do if you've got a little bit of extra material on the edge. So the 1.5 centimeters works, as you can see. I just haven't got as much to work with as I did on the thicker ones, because that wadding makes things a little bit bulkier. You'll find if you've cut it with a 2 centimeter edge, you'll just find that a little bit easier to deal with. It's doable. It's just a little bit harder. And glue up those other sides. That one. And remember, try and make this as unbulky as possible, because that means that they'll sit as flush as possible. But, well, nothing's perfect, and mistakes add character. Just ask my aunt. So, don't stress too much. There we go. Where's that last one? Done. So that's how you do your main pieces. And once those are all glued up, then it's time for sewing. I think that's it for me now. You've had about half an hour's worth of video, and I think that ought to do it for today. Thank you for listening, and I'll catch you later. Bye.